Günaydın. Öncelikle hoş geldiniz diyorum. Ben Aslı Deniz Helvacıoğlu. Boğaziçi Üniversitesi'nde öğretim üyesiyim. Aynı zamanda Uluslararası Ticaret Bölümünde öğretim üyesiyim ve de İnovasyon Merkezi'nde de yönetim kurulu üyesiyim. Öncelikle hepinize hoş geldiniz diyorum. Bugün bizim için çok önemli ve çok güzel bir gün. Çünkü İnovasyon Merkezimizin bünyesinde yeni bir platforma, çalışma alanına bir başlangıç noktası oluyor. Merkezimizden ilk önce biraz bahsetmek istiyorum. İnovasyon Merkezi Boğaziçi Üniversitesi içerisindeki araştırma ve uygulama merkezlerinden biri. Bizim alanımız inovasyon stratejisi, kültürü, regülasyonları, ekonomisi ve de iş modelleri üzerine vizyoner bir yapı kazandırmak ve bu konuda araştırmalar, eğitimler, uluslararası projeler yürütmek. Üç ayaklı bir yapı içerisinde merkezimiz ilerliyor. Eğitim, uluslararası araştırmalar ve de quadruple helix dediğimiz kamu, özel sektör, sivil toplum örgütü ve akademi işbirliğine dayanan çeşitli açılımlar. Bu çerçevede yani bizim merkezlerimiz gönüllülük esasıyla çalışıyor ve çeşitli bölümlerden akademisyenler bir araya gelerek bu araştırma gruplarını oluşturuyorlar. Bizde de uluslararası ticaret, işletme ve ekonomi bölümlerinden akademisyenler olarak bu alanlarda çalışıyoruz. Biz bünyemizde bu platform üzerinden çalışmayı çok sevdik. Boğun Tarım adını verdiğimiz, belki de duyduğunuz tarım konusunda yenilikçi teknolojiler, tarım teknolojilerinin tarıma uygulanma süreçlerine yönelik pilot projeler yürüttüğümüz bir platformumuz var. Bu platform üzerinde şu ana kadar çok çeşitli uluslararası projeler yürüttüğümüz gibi kamuyla, UNDP ile, GAP'la beraber de referans noktası olabilecek açılımlarda bulunduk. Bu bize bir heyecan kazandırdı ve bu platformlar üzerinden birlikte çalışma kültürünü yaratmanın, sinerjinin aslında Türkiye'nin ne kadar çok ihtiyacı olduğu bir sistematik değişim olduğunu ve yeni bir kültür olduğunu da gördük. O noktada bugün Amazon'a çok teşekkür etmek istiyoruz. Onların da girişim ve desteğiyle merkezimizin bünyesinde Boğun Dijital adını verdiğimiz yeni platformumuzun açılışını yapıyoruz. Şimdi bu platformla biz aslında ne istiyoruz? Biliyorsunuz inovasyon aslında çok kullandığımız bir kelime ve genel olarak da inovasyonu hep teknolojiyle, dijitalleşmeyi de hep teknolojik çözümlerle birleştiriyoruz ama aslında dijitalleşme bir kültürel değişim ve dijitalleşmeyle bir inovasyon kültürü ve data kültürünün geldiği, bu veri kültürüyle de gelişen yeni bir insan-makine ilişkisinin olduğu, frontier teknolojiler dediğimiz ilerici teknolojilerle şekillenen yeni bir ortam var. Bu ortamda aslında şu ana kadar var olan teknolojilerin hayatımıza geçirilmesi kadar bu teknolojilerle beraber yol açılacak yeni kültürel değişimdeki iş modellerini birlikte oluşturabilmek, birlikte çalışabileceğimiz bir geniş, bu Avrupalılar çok seviyor Avrupa Birliği, bu Innovation Hub dedikleri, Digitalization Hub dedikleri daha entelektüel tavanlı, açık inovasyona dayanan, birbiriyle açık ve net bir şekilde bilgi üreten ve bilgiyi paylaşan, deneyimlerle zenginleşen bir ortamı biz hep birlikte sizlerle beraber kurmak istiyoruz. Şimdi bu ortamın en büyük bence katkısı hep beraber Türkiye'nin rekabet gücünü arttıracak ve ülkemizde örnek olabilecek projeleri hayata geçirmek, bu konuda bilgi oluşturmak, bilgi birikimiyle en iyi deneyimleri paylaşmak ve en iyi deneyimlerden yola çıkarak bunları bir girdi olarak kullanıp daha iyilerine ulaşmak. Buradaki yüksek etkileşimi ve entelektüel paylaşım alanını biz çok önemsiyoruz. Çünkü üniversitenin biliyorsunuz akademik olarak var olan değerlere saygılı, tarafsız ve paylaşımcı yapısı bence sizler gibi kurumlar için çok değerli. Biz bu noktada oluşturduğumuz bilgi birikimiyle regülasyon yapma konusunda hem kanun yapıcılara, politika süreçlerinde politika yapıcılara, şirketlerin karar alma ve vizyon ve strateji oluşturmalarında onlarla beraber çalışarak bir katkıda bulunmak istiyoruz. Şu ana kadar özellikle inovasyon nasıl regüle edilmeli gibi bu regülasyonlar ve politikalar nasıl tasarlansa ülkenin rekabet gücüne, aynı zamanda da oyuncuların varlığına ve sürdürülebilirliğine nasıl katkıda olur konuları çok tartışılıyor. Özellikle regülasyon konusunda biliyorsunuz ekonomik etki analizleri aslında yenilikçi teknolojilere yönelik politika ve regülasyonların hayata geçtiğinde nasıl etki yapacakları, pazarı nasıl değiştirecekleri konusunda bize çok iyi bir geri bildirim veriyor. Bizim bu konuda çok iyi deneyimlerimiz var. Türkiye'de bunu yapan ve çeşitli konularda kullanan en iyi ekip olduğumuzu söyleyebilirim. O yüzden bunun altını özellikle çiziyorum. Yani gerçekten doğru politika ve etkin regülasyon konusunda işbirliğimizin akademi, kamu, özel sektörün oluşturduğu bu etki analizlerinin çok değerli olduğunu düşünüyorum. Bir diğer nokta ise aslında bir vizyon verebilmek, strateji çizebilmek, farklı bir bakış açısıyla var olan bilgileri harmanlayabilmek, birbirimizi dinleyebilmek, ortak bir akıl oluşturabilmek, bu akılla birlikte daha iyisini oluşturabilecek bir yapıya kavuşabilmek. Aslında bilmiyorum, tabii ben yaşça biraz büyük olabilirim hepinizden ama daha genç gösteriyorum, bu konuda şüphe yok. Şimdi eskiden internet ilk çıktığında böyle şeyler vardı. First Monday, First Tuesday şeyler. Bir toplantılar, hep beraber bir araya gelirdik ortak akılla. Bizim internet ve hukuk platformumuz vardı. O zamanlar ben bir doktora öğrencisiydim. Çok değerli katkılarda bulunmuşlardı benim hayatımda da ve biz bir araya gelir konuşurduk. Bir araya gelir tartışırdık. Biz bu gelenekleri tekrar Boğun Dijital'de hayata geçirmek istiyoruz. Sizleri davet etmek istiyoruz. Beraber odaklı konularda yuvarlak masa toplantıları yapmak istiyoruz. Bilgi üretmek istiyoruz. Birbirimizi dinlemek ve bunları aslında tüm mercilerle paylaşmak ve bir arada bir deneyim oluşturmak istiyoruz. Eğer mümkün olursa Regulatory Sandbox denilen bu yasal deneyim süreçlerini Türkiye'de hayata geçirmek istiyoruz. Bir diğer özelliği de bütün kurumlarınızın, şirketlerinizin en iyi dijitalleşme deneyimlerini literatüre kazandırmak istiyoruz. Türkiye'de olmayan bir şey biliyorsunuz, İyi ve etkin bir anlatı oluşturmak. Bir dijitalleşmenin bir anlatısını oluşturmak istiyoruz. İnovasyon kültürü ve anlatısını burada sizlerin deneyimlerini de hayata geçirmek istiyoruz ve Boğun Dijital'in kendi imzasıyla yarattığı bir case serisi yapmak istiyoruz. O yüzden bu hepinize bir açık davettir. Lütfen firmalarınızın en iyi dijitalleşme deneyimlerini bizimle paylaşın. Gelin onları literatüre, var olan bilgiye, anlatıya katalım. Bu konuda bizim birkaç deneyimimiz de oldu. UNDP ve Sanayi ve Teknoloji Bakanlığı ile birlikte yaptığımız Digital Way, Dijital Yol platformu, hatta geçenlerde ödül de aldı. KOBİ'lerin dijitalleşme süreçlerini destekleyen önemli bir platform olarak ortaya çıkıyor. Orada farklı bir dizayn yaptık ve mozaik fonlama gibi bir fikri de ortaya çıkardık. Yani aslında biz bir şekilde sadece fikir ve eğitimi değil, gerekli finansal araçları da oyunculara eklemleyebilecek yapıları öngörüyoruz. Dünya değişiyor. Zaten dünyanın değiştiğini hepimiz yaşıyoruz. Ben size farklı bir dünya anlatmak istiyorum. Çünkü ben aslında iki şeye inanıyorum. Her şey daha iyi olabilir. Ve her şeyin daha iyi olması için en önemli şey hepimizin olabildiğinin en iyisi olmasıdır. O yüzden bugünden itibaren geleceği şekillendirirken Boğun Dijital'deki en büyük hedefimiz her birimizin en iyi katkıyı, iyi niyetle, tarafsız, özgün ve gelişmiş, vizyoner bir bilgiyi kullanarak ülkemizin geleceğine, refahına ve rekabet gücüne katkıda bulunacak ve her birimizin bireysel, kurumsal varlıklarını da güçlendirerek geliştirecek bir ortak çalışma ortamı sunmak olacak. Öncelikle tekrardan hepinize çok teşekkür ediyorum geldiğiniz için ve tekrar davetimi yeniliyorum. Her birinize lütfen gelin ve Boğun Dijital'in aktif birer parçası olun. Bizimle Türkiye'nin bu dijitalleşme yolculuğunda iz bırakacak yeni bir anlatı, yeni bir kültür ve bilgi birikimi oluşturalım. Tekrar çok teşekkür ediyorum. Şimdi izin verirseniz Richard'ı davet etmek istiyorum. Richard, first of all, thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you here with us. And of course, I would also like to thank Amazon once again for supporting this wonderful initiative to be a part of the digital culture of Turkey. And before starting all, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience?
Sure. Well, look, thank you for the invitation. It's wonderful to be here in such a historic location, and until this morning I didn't realise all of the history, and learnt a lot from the wonderful tour that we had. So it was.
I think it's all for us to say.
It was wonderful to see. So a little bit about me. I'm Richard Marriott. I'm the Amazon Turkey country manager. I've been in Amazon 7 years, although the way we refer to it in Amazon, I've been in Amazon 2,715 day ones. Every day is day one. Perhaps we'll talk about that a little bit more. And I and my family have been living here in Turkey for the last 3.5 years. And I have 3 sons. They're all at school here in Turkey at the British International School. And you know, although many of you I'm meeting for the very first time, I would like to say thank you to you as on behalf of your fellow Turks, on behalf of my family, for the welcome that my family has received to have the opportunity to live, to learn, to work, to study in such a deep, rich historical culture with people who are so hospitable and welcoming during, frankly, occasionally challenging times in the pandemic has been humbling and a delight. So on behalf of your fellow countrymen, thank you very much from my family.
I think Amazon has a different role in the design of the digital culture. I may say it's one of the founding fathers because it has contributed most of the digital business culture, provided new business solutions, and changed the way that people interact. Could you please talk about a little bit of the understanding of innovation in the Amazon culture and how it is defined by your company?
Sure. So we have a few guiding principles, and one of them is to invent. And when we think about invention, I would highlight 2 key different aspects. The first is a mentality, and the second are processes. I talked in my introduction about day one, a number of day ones I've been in Amazon. Well, what does that really mean? In Amazon, what it means is that we treat every day as if it was the first day of a brand new startup. And that may be quick to say, but it has quite deep meaning. It means that every day anything is possible. Every day it's as if you're taking the first step in a journey. It means every day you are not constrained by what has gone before. Past decisions, past investments, past processes, past performance, past barriers. If today is the first day of your startup where you're building to a future, then you can leave the past behind. And so by having this day one mentality, every day we bring a fresh approach, and it means that to us everything is possible all of the time. And that's a really important mentality. The second part is how do you channel that energy and that mentality into powerful processes? And you know, the key things to say there is, in Amazon, no matter what your role is, everyone in Amazon is expected to be an inventor and to be an innovator. It's part of every single employee job description. Everyone can spot improvements, everyone can see frustrations with customers, partners, whatever it might be, and it's everyone's role to help create something that is better. And so we have the mentality, we have the expectation, and then we have a series of processes. One that's worth describing that occasionally has been written about is a way we document new ideas. And we do what we call is we work backwards from the customer, and we work backwards from what it is we're trying to launch. And so if the team has an idea and they say, Richard, what about this? What about that? I say, write it down. And when you write it down, start with the press release. So what would you give to the media on the day of launch? And so you have to start with a date. That means, okay, I'm going to launch this in 6 months' time. 1st of July, 2023, Amazon Turkey launches this. Okay, then what is it? Well, it's this thing. Well, why does the media care? Oh, well, it's great because. Okay, why do customers care? Well, customers used to not like this, and this new thing solves their problem in the following way. And so there's a structure of writing where essentially they can fill in the blanks, but by forcing them to fill in the blanks, they have to think, well, why is what I'm thinking about good? What problem will it solve? And then we combine this with a series of frequently asked questions, which might be, who is the customer? What is their need? What are they thinking and doing today? What do you want them to do differently? What business capabilities do we need? Have we done this anywhere in the world before? Are we doing anything for the first time? Yeah, what is the business case and so on? And we call this a PR FAQ, a press release and frequently asked questions. And this is a living document. So recently in the UK, I spent my first 3.5 years in Amazon in the UK. We've just launched something called the Insurance Store, which is Amazon's entry into retailing insurance. And I led this initiative when I was back in the UK. And we wrote the first PR FAQ. And every press release, frequently asked question documents has a version number. When I left, we were on version 40. So it's very iterative. You write it down and it's okay that it's not great. You share it with somebody and you say, oh, I like this, I don't like that. You get feedback and you constantly improve it. And so you start with a mentality, you start the day one mentality, you start with it's everybody's job to innovate, and then you support with really structured documentation that really forces great thinking of what do you really want to do, how are you going to do it? And then a culture that says it doesn't have to be right first time. You can iterate it, you can change it, and great ideas change a lot before they finally get launched.
That's a great, encouraging corporate innovation culture, I think. And could you please give some examples of the best trademark innovations that you had?
I think, some of the most famous ones, some of them maybe are the oldest. So let's take customer reviews. Now everybody will think it's completely normal that you leave a review, you read reviews, and we learn from each other. But that isn't how it used to be. When Amazon first said it was a books business at the beginning, it said we will allow customer reviews on books. The publishers went mad. They said it's not your job to criticize our work. We're the publishers, we produce brilliant books, sell them. And we said, well, actually, we think customers want to hear what others think. We think they'll trust it more, and your good books will sell more, and you'll get feedback on your less good books. And customers loved it. And so there's a good example of being willing to be misunderstood by the publishing industry. Ultimately, this massively helped the publishing industry. It's a great source of feedback. They use it for innovation. But to begin with, they were very resistant. But over time, it became very, very impactful. A different example might be Prime. Amazon Prime is our membership program. It has video, it has gaming, but at the core of it, it has free fast delivery on shopping. And people said, well, why does everyone want such fast delivery? And actually, when I first came to Turkey in 2019, I was told prices, low prices, deals, that's what Turkish consumers want. Turns out that actually, if you have the price right, Turkish consumers like getting things fast. And once they've got it fast, they don't want to go back to getting it slow. And so that's an example of taking a stance on something that you think is going to work on long term, even if customers today can't tell you, they're not saying, please make it faster. But we had a view of what they would like, and we pushed it. And I think I picked the old ones, so there are now probably billions of reviews on Amazon globally, and obviously every single website now has reviews. I mean, the whole world has gone that way. And then if we look at Amazon Prime, there's hundreds of millions of members, but it's taken, for both of those innovations, it's taken years to get to the scale we now see. They started very small. When they first started, it wasn't obvious they were going to be so successful. They might have been bad ideas, but we went with them and they changed the world in some small way.
That's great. I think it's a part of the empowerment of the idea, empowerment of the customer, and in a way also creating a great market intelligence for all. But we know that innovation is not a simple term. It takes time. You have to invest in it, and sometimes speed is important for the introduction to the market, but also it takes time to build the research and development process. How do you keep on this process and support the durability of this passion for invention, innovate more, to find new ideas and to realize them?
So we have another key principle, which is think long term. And the reason why we do that is that we think that, and this is at the core of your question of innovation, innovation can be a little bit hard. If it was really simple, somebody might have done it already. But we believe that enormous value for customers, for partners, for everybody is created by solving hard problems. And solving hard problems can take time. So we have this phrase that we use in Amazon Turkey and elsewhere. We go as fast as possible, but as slow as necessary. And the slow as necessary part is it's important to develop the innovation to make sure it's going to work. So as an example, one of the reasons why the PRFAQ goes through 40 iterations is at the end of that, if you're going to give it to a bunch of software engineers and you're going to say, go invest a lot of time, and time is money, in building something technical, you need to make sure they're building the right thing. And we view their time and effort as very valuable, so we would rather eliminate the mistakes in the brief and take longer in the brief and then have a faster development. I think Abraham Lincoln described, and this is something I say to my team, if he had to cut down a tree and he had 8 hours, he would spend 7 hours sharpening his axe and 1 hour cutting down the tree. Innovation is a little bit like that. In our experience, the things that pay off, they go slow to begin with, and then they start to grow, and then they compound very, very rapidly over time. But for a long period of time, it looks like nothing's happening. It looks very small. And so the long-term mindset is about saying, we know this is going to get to scale. This is not about a 3-month return or a 6-month return. This is about doing activities that is going to massively generate return over time. A different example would be the way we've launched into different countries. Turkey is a very important country for Amazon. We launched in September 2018. We actually took the decision to launch in 2016. And 2016 was a challenging year in Turkey. But for Amazon, that was not important. We looked 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. We looked at the size of the population. We looked at the development of the economy. We looked at the likelihood were consumers going to adopt e-commerce. And we said, yes, this is a really big long-term opportunity that is going to take many, many years to develop. And what's happening today, there will always be challenges of different types, economic, whatever. We look through those and we invest for the long term.
Yeah, you mentioned about finding the hard questions and the difficulties and face them and find solutions for that. And we just encounter all of these. I think SMEs or the SMBs are the actors that face them most of the time. And especially for your policies, your plans and objectives for Turkey. How do you position the SMBs and what do you offer for them as a part of your innovative culture?
One of our big innovations early on was what we call Marketplace, where we said to SMBs, you can come and sell alongside Amazon as a retailer. And actually, if your product, your price is better, then you win what we call the buy box, you win the sale. And that was very radical at the time for a retailer to invite competition inside its own website, inside its own app. But what it spawned was enormous innovation potential. And the reason why it spawned it, and I think this is one that's similar to what you're creating here with Boon Digital, is the network effect. If only Amazon is innovating, well, we're perhaps a big company, but we're one company, only one company. And we can make mistakes, we can not think of ideas. But if we can partner with hundreds of thousands of small and medium businesses, all of whom have got their own ideas, all of whom, individually they might be small, but they have their own innovative resources, then innovation can happen much faster. I was yesterday with a Turkish SMB on the Asian side, big brands, and they've built up over time incredible capability. They have their own photographic studio, they have their own design studio, they make their own products, they design them, they have their own logistics capability, they have people who are expert in advertising. But they explained to me that they've been going 20 years and this person's been working here 7 years and this person's been working here 10 years. And so they've built this capability over time. And so for us, partnering, supporting, doing business with small and medium businesses is critical to expanding innovation. And most importantly, it's a win-win. When they win, we win. So if they're successful, they bring new products to our website, that attracts more customers. When we win, they win. If we bring more customers to our website, they get more demand for their products. And so it's one of those partnerships where there is no downside together. It's purely synergistic, and it expands what's possible. And so in consequence to that, Amazon globally, and Amazon Turkey benefits from this enormously. We have very large resources devoted to building systems, technology products, seller central places where they can manage their business, advertising solutions, training, lots and lots of videos. Lots are on YouTube, lots are on our website. So we've built this entire ecosystem of support so that you this afternoon, after hosting this event this morning, you may go, actually, I'm going to become a seller on Amazon this afternoon, and you could do it this afternoon. And you could go on and you could register and you could start developing your business immediately. And so our goal is to build anything a small business might need to get going and to start being successful. And that includes, for example, support for small businesses to register intellectual property. So they own their own brand. We have a program called Brand Registry where they can protect their brand against anybody else. So creating the ecosystem for them to be successful is a part of how we become successful. It's absolutely integrated. And globally, small and medium businesses, their sales on Amazon are far greater, I think 60% globally, far greater than Amazon retail sales. So they are more and more successful over time. And that is exactly what we're trying to do here in Amazon Turkey as well.
That's great, because I had the chance to read about Amazon a lot. It was a part of the academic papers, and also some of my friends are actually doing business in Amazon. So I know that Amazon has many dimensions and multiple layers, while improving the learning capacity of the business providers, but it also has, I think, special focus on the customer. Empowerment of the customer and the satisfaction of the customer, maybe changing the way the customers think and expect from the digital services. And what do you think about the impact of the innovation culture that Amazon builds and how it contributes to the minds and the mindsets of the customers?
Well, Amazon is, we use this phrase, famously customer obsessed. And we have this stated mission to be Earth's most customer-obsessed company. And it runs through everything in the business. So, for example, you see the empty chair there, which I was sitting in. In our meetings, we famously have empty chairs. And the chair is for the customer. And so we ask ourselves in a meeting, what would the customer think of what we're discussing? Now, of course, many meetings are on Zoom and they're online, and we haven't quite worked out how to have an empty camera, but the spirit is the same. But equally, in our, if you think about the daily and weekly rhythms of any business, any business reviews its performance, probably daily, but certainly weekly. So if you think about a weekly business review meeting where any business says, well, how did we do last week? In Amazon, we start with what we call voice of the customer. So we have a slide where the customer services team share with 50 or 60 people what was the most painful experience for a customer last week. Where did we get it wrong worst? It might be we delivered late. It might be we had to cancel a delivery because there was some problem in the warehouse. It might be that we offered something and we couldn't fulfill it. Or it might be they got stuck because we didn't collect some information in the right way, or whatever it might be. Every week, we start with a different one. We spend 5 minutes understanding it, and then we commit to take action to fix that customer defect as fast as we can. And then they accumulate, and I track them quarterly in the progress. So this is an hour meeting where the key agenda for most business leaders is, did I meet my budget last week? We don't start there. We start with the customer. Then we go for the small and medium business partner, and we have the voice of the small and medium business partner. What was the most frustrating thing that happened to them last week? And we spend 5 minutes discussing that and committing to action. and then voice of the operations. So the operations team might say, here's a photo of all of these pallets that are getting, storing here, there's a problem, we need to fix it. So we start with customers, small and medium businesses and operations, and we spend the first quarter of our weekly meetings on what are the most important things we have to fix. Then if you think about the e-commerce proposition and the Amazon proposition, at a headline level, it's very simple. It's, we try and offer more selection to people, more products you can choose from. We try and offer very competitive prices and over time, lower prices. And we try and offer the fastest delivery possible. And Jeff Bezos has kind of famously said, wherever we go in the world, we haven't found a customer who wants less products, higher prices, delivered slower, please. If we did, we'd meet that need. What we find is the opposite. And so those three things are really quick and simple to say, but we break them down into incredible granular detail. You talked earlier in your introduction about the importance of data. So each of those topics might have 10 slides of data that once we spent 15 minutes going through what we did wrong the previous week, we'll then go through 30 or 40 slides, each of which will have maybe 300 pieces of data on it. And the team will call out what 3 or 4 things went wrong in the previous week that they're going to fix in granular detail, all of which is still the customer experience. And then only in the last 10 minutes of the meeting will I see, what did we sell last week? What were our profit margins last week? That is at the end. And there have been plenty of meetings where we've run out of time and we've not looked at it. So when we say we're customer obsessed, it's not just a thing to say. If you came and sat in our meetings, you'd go, well, where are the sales numbers? We don't look at that till the end. We focus on the customer.
It's a great detailed process and a real hard work. Okay, so, but it also builds up the Amazon's leadership. So as one of the leading actors of global digitalization, you have some leadership principles in-house also designed. And one of them is success and scale bring broad responsibility. Could you please explain this a little bit?
Absolutely. So, first of all, maybe everyone is familiar, I don't know. The leadership principles are the description of Amazon's values. And we use them an awful lot in our business every day. The things like bias for action, dive deep, and particularly when we're discussing a customer problem, we may literally use the phrase, we need some bias for action on this, we need to fix it very fast. And so leadership principles are a very, very strong signal across 1.5 million people of what is important. That's how, as a culture, we communicate with all of our employees at any level. These are the important things. This is how we should behave, talk and act every day. So we recently launched, a couple of years ago, 2 new leadership principles. One, success and scale bring great responsibility, and the other, a desire to be Earth's best employer alongside Earth's most customer-obsessed company. And these were recognitions that although startups are sort of famously in a garage somewhere, somebody's innovating, or maybe in your kitchen table, and indeed Amazon started in Jeff Bezos's house and garage, we're no longer there. We are of sufficient scale that actually we have hundreds of millions of customers who rely on us for their needs, and nowhere was this more true than in the pandemic when people couldn't go out, they couldn't shop, but they still needed stuff. And so we had a duty to continue to serving customers, actually at very great cost to Amazon, but a duty that we fulfilled. From an employee point of view, it is all about development and growth that they can be offered, and a sense that no matter where they start in the organization, they may be a receptionist, they may be in the warehouse, actually they can achieve anything over time with growth in their life, and it's a commitment to support their development. For small and medium business partners, it's a recognition that when we help them win, what does that mean? Well, that means that they get cash into their business, which means they can pay their employees. It means that they have cash that they can use to buy the next set of products, to invest, and then we try and help them to turn those products into cash again so they can do it again. So we focus not only on how do they sell more products on our website, but how do we help making their business model successful so that they have successful businesses, which drives employment, which drives growth, which drives innovation. And then equally, there are perhaps two other factors. One I might talk to is competition. Amazon is famously customer obsessed, and we don't have, in this hour-long meeting, we don't have anything that looks at the competition, but we welcome competition. We actually like really strong competition because strong competition makes us better. Strong competition inspires us with new and different ways that we haven't thought of to service the customer. And we look at things and we go, oh, wow, they're doing that. That's amazing. Well, what should we do? So, responsibility is also a responsibility to embrace and enjoy really, really tough competition, and we do. Tough competition is a way of life. It makes us better. And then last, but by no means, at least perhaps the most significant thing, the hardest thing for all of us and all businesses is the planet's challenge with climate change. So Amazon has led the Climate Pledge, which is a commitment that Amazon will be net carbon zero by 2040. But also we've invited, I think now it's over 250 global companies, many of whom have significant operations in Turkey, to commit their global businesses to achieve the same. And then we're putting in resources to how do you measure your carbon emissions? How do you get the appropriate investments that genuinely reduces carbon as opposed to buying some green certificate that doesn't quite work that way? So we're putting investment into resources to help ourselves, but also other businesses, and we're constantly asking others to come and join this collaboration to achieve what the planet needs to achieve, to do this together. And so, it would be important that I say Amazon has many grand statements. Earth's most customer-obsessed company, responsibility, best employer. These are vision statements. These are directions. We call them North Stars. These are directions in which we go. We know we're not there. We know we are full of defects. We're full of errors. We're full of mistakes. Inside, we are incredibly critical of our performance, and we may have happy customers, but we're usually very unhappy with what we're doing and trying to make it better. And so when I say these things, it is not to say we think we are achieving them yet, but it is to say that we are committed to constantly every day with a day one mentality working towards them. And by making those daily, weekly, monthly and quarterly improvements, we'll make things a little bit better. And that's how it works.
I mean, while you're talking about Amazon and the way you work, I think it's more than just a business proposition. It's a kind of by design partnership, an area of collaboration, or an eventual outcome of this doing business together is a new sphere of a partnership. So how do you see the potential of partnership and cooperation as a part of Amazon culture? And we would also, as a last question, like to hear what you think about this Born Digital and because also for us, partnership, cooperation is extremely important. What would be the new opportunities?
Well, thank you. I think Amazon, as it has got bigger, has realized how important partnership and collaboration is. And now if you think about all of our aspects of our business, we are very, very open to it. At the heart of our business is collaboration with small and medium enterprises. But actually that is much more complex than it looks. That also means collaborating with software integrators who support small and medium enterprises. It means collaborating we have something called the Seller Partner Network, all kinds of businesses that help small and businesses be successful. So what starts by looking like a one-to-one relationship is actually a very complex ecosystem of collaboration and support and partnership. So we are very open to it in every field. I think also when the last question you asked, when we think about broad responsibility, we realize that we are just one actor, and sometimes we're small and sometimes we're not so small, but we're only one. We can only make meaningful change for the communities and societies that we support and work in by partnering and collaborating with others. And that is a crucial part of what we're trying to achieve. And so to the last part, I'm delighted to be here to support Boon Digital. I think it's a fantastic initiative and a necessary one because innovation is hard. And so it needs as many mothers and fathers and supporters and help and collaborators as possible. And so I'm personally very happy to be here to be a supporter, to be a partner, to be a collaborator, but also on behalf of Amazon Turkey to support Boon Digital in its work.
Thank you very much, Richard. So it's a pleasure again having you all. And shall we have the panel, because we are a little bit late, for the questions afterwards during the cafe? Maybe you can have the no, maybe let's have the questions afterwards during the cafe break. Would it be? Yeah, that would be better because a little bit late.
I will be here.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.